Good afternoon, Zion. This is Pastor Michael Tafamombe, the executive pastor here at Zion Global Ministries under the leadership of Pastor Freddy and Marcia Pifers. It's indeed my humble pleasure to be talking to you today. As most of you agree that we have been having crazy times. Sometime last year and running into the beginning of this year, no one had an idea that we were going to have a 2020 the way that we have had it to date. The coronavirus, the pandemic, took most of us by surprise. And we have had so many skeptics at different levels, as some of you may know, that when this whole thing was showing up, some didn't even believe that it was real. And this type of disbelief actually ran from ranks higher, even to the common man on the street. And as weeks went by, everybody started believing that, man, this is real. This coronavirus is no joke. And then we all started to kind of get ready for it and taking every measure we can take so that we don't become victim to the power of this pandemic. So one thing that is kind of being talked about a lot from that time is how to conquer this pandemic. And we've had perspectives, we've had scientists chipping in and sharing with us how this whole thing is going and how it can be conquered. And governments across the world have been mobilizing and harnessing all the intellectual power they can bring to the table to design a vaccine to deal with this whole situation here. And as weeks went by, one of the things that came to be that most of us have never really took so seriously is the idea of PPE, personal protective equipment. And then everybody, all of a sudden, we had to wear some masks, going into Kroger, by the gas station, wherever we were or we are. We found ourselves having to wear this to protect ourselves. And even now, across the world, I come from Zimbabwe, and I hear people there talking about the government enforcing and making sure that everybody has a mask wherever they are on the street. If you don't have one, that can actually be taken as a crime. You can be taken in and signed up for that. So it made me to think a little bit and say, okay, PPE, personal protective equipment, and it's good. It's good that we're doing it, so we don't fall victim to this pandemic here. But one thing is for sure, that we're trying to protect ourselves from a pandemic. And a pandemic by nature is dangerous, right? It has power to take away lives. And everybody's like, I still want my life with me. I don't want to die. So I have to do everything I have to do to protect myself. And one way to do it, and as we've been told, is to wear a mask, wash our hands, and do everything we can do so that we don't get sick one way or the other. So PPE, in basic terms, actually is to protect this physical body over here, which is a good thing. So it made me to think like, wow, maybe it's a wake-up call to us, and God is reminding us that there is a bigger PPE that we have to think about. There is a bigger PPE mentality that we need to have. We're doing this because there's a pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. Maybe there is a bigger pandemic that has been there right from the beginning of times, the pandemic of sin, right? So the amount and the input, that has been invested in all this, in trying to deal with this pandemic here, if you look at it, it's staggering numbers. Billions of dollars have gone into making sure that humanity is protected from this physical pandemic. So I'm reminded today that there is another bigger pandemic that humanity probably has never really considered a type of a PPE to guard against. That's the pandemic of sin that has been in the world for a long time. And This one here is able, it kills body and soul. It doesn't just kill your physical body, but this one takes you out, like in totality. Your spirituality and your physicality, everything is taken out. That's the pandemic of sin. So it brings me back. It brings me back to the cross at Calvary, that Jesus went all the way there to fight a worldwide global pandemic of sin. And he went up there probably so he can be my bigger form of PPE. And I have this picture here of, I think you've seen people wearing hazmat suits. You know, it covers you from top to bottom. You have the boots. You have a headgear that's kind of suited to that. And every part of your body is covered because there's a hazardous situation that's around you. So the idea is so that the hazard may not be in contact with you. So they wear this tight hazmat suit. And I'm thinking, wow, there's a big hazard that's out here, and probably we have to wear a type of hazmat suit, one of the size and maybe power of Jesus, so that this hazard that's going around us, the hazard of sin, the hazard of drifting away from God, that's able to kill body and soul. So maybe it's a time for us to think about, well, what do I choose at this time? As we go ahead and wear masks, as we wash our hands, as we do whatever we do to protect ourselves from a physical pandemic, maybe we need to do more. So we protect it from a bigger pandemic that's able to take out me in totality. And maybe it's time for you to think about Jesus and have Jesus as your total, tight, complete hazmat suit that can give you that confidence and that faith that you're okay down here on earth, and even when you finally depart from this world, so you're totally protected. So why don't you wear Jesus today and know that you have maybe the most protective powerful suit that humanity has ever seen in Jesus. And if you can go with me to 2 Peter chapter 1 and 3, and I'm going to take it from the English Standard Version. It says, His divine power has granted to us all things that pertain to life and godliness through the knowledge of Him who called us to His own glory and excellence. So through His divine power, you and me, we have been granted all things that pertain to life and godliness. So in Jesus, we have safety. In Jesus, we have protection. In Jesus, we have everything that we need to protect the soul person and the physical person. And even in times like this, when we have to deal with a pandemic of this nature, I think your bigger PPE and your bigger hazmat suit has to come in the form of Jesus Christ. And by the time that you wear your mask, you know you have a good protection around you. So it's just one thing that I've been thinking about, to say, God, what's the lesson, what's the teaching here? And I'm glad that our pastor, Pastor Freddie, this past Sunday, if you were tuning in to the service this past Sunday, he touched a little bit on that and talked about, that idea of us having that type of mentality and that thinking, and for us to look at things in a way that's more helpful. We miss you a lot. It has been a long time, since you've been here. I'm sitting right here in the sanctuary every Sunday in, Sunday out. We used to having people sitting in here for the Sabbath service at 8 a.m. and then 10:30 we have people here, and then we're hugging each other up and we're smiling, we're waving at each other, and we're having a good time. And every time we have a service over here, by the time we're done, some people don't want to leave at all. Some people sit here for maybe 30 minutes post or after the service is done. It just shows how much people love being here. It's a nice place to be, and how we long for us to come back together so we can worship together, fellowship together and have a good time together. But even more, so we can just see your face, because we miss just seeing your face and, talking and maybe sometimes throwing some high fives and doing all the things that we have done, as Zion Global here. And it has been the same thing across the whole, world for Zion Global in Africa. Same thing. I mean, we miss coming together and do the things that we used to do. But in these crazy times, crazy as they are, we still have to keep in the place of the Lord and still worship Him and still be of ministry to everybody. So the fact that we're not here physically together, we will never ever stop worship. We will never ever stop fellowship. We can still fellowship if you have your phone. Please, if you have John's number or Mary's number, call them and say, how you doing at this time? Just say hi, think of your family, I'm praying for you. Do some of those simple things you can do. Maybe we've not done it before, or maybe you don't have a number for somebody. Here at the office, we have numbers for everyone who comes here. So just call in and say, can I have Mary's number? I need to give them a call. We'll be glad to share that number with you so we can remain a family together. Well, even if you don't have a number, okay, one thing that you can do, you can just pray. Just go on your knees or go to your prayer room and just intercede and stand in the gap for Zion family. Pray for Pastor Fede, pray for Pastor Marsha, pray for the leadership here, pray for the general membership here. Just pray that God keeps protecting us and for His favor to stay with us. So you can do those kind of things. Or maybe you're good, you cook so well. Maybe you can just say, well, I'm going to prepare a meal and find a way that I can send it over to Grandma so-and-so, and with so many seniors in this church. Maybe that can be something that you can do just to keep the fellowship going. But in a nutshell, what I'm saying here is Jesus is here. He's still with us. He has never gone smaller because of the coronavirus. He remains the same Jesus that you and me have known for years. He never changes. And so let's do all we can do to make sure that we're keeping the fellowship of the Spirit, the fellowship of the believers together and intact. And maybe for some of you wondering, what's happening over there at 9180 Cincinnati Columbus Road? Well, the building is still here. It's still here. If you drive past here, you still see the building over here. And one of the reasons why we're still here, the lights are still on. We still have water running around here. The grounds are still being taken care of, is because you have been amazingly faithful. I think Pastor has mentioned here several times, making reference to how faithful you have been. Actually, you have been really faithful in your giving and supporting this ministry. That goes on to show us that you really love your ministry. So we've seen offerings coming in, we've seen envelopes coming in the mail every day, actually. And we've seen some of you coming here to drop them off in our drop box that we have by the office. And we've seen bigger numbers of people giving online, something that we have never seen here. I've been here for some years. I've never seen so much online giving like we have at the moment. And our giving is not bad at all. By any standard. Pastor and I, we talk about it every week. You guys have been really faithful. You've done it. So we really are thankful for how faithful you've been in that area. And like we always say here, maybe you have not taken some time to do it yourself, to give. You can still give. It's never too late. You can go to our website. You can log in there, and you can go right here to the right. There's a giving link. That's it. That's safe and secure. You can still give right there. Or maybe one of the easier ways to do it is just to text Zion GM to 77977, and then you'll be prompted through that to give and participate, to maintain and to keep this whole ministry going over here. Or maybe you say, I would love to mail mine. Just go ahead and do it. The address, it's 9180 Cincinnati Columbus Road, Westchester, Ohio, 45069. So you have been faithful from that end. But that's not the only area you've been faithful in. I understand most of you have been praying and praying. You've been praying and standing in the gap for Pastor Marsha every Monday. We hear you mentioning their names and mentioning the ministry and praying. You have done that. You have done that. I know every night when you gather together as a family, you're raising up the name of Zion Global Ministries in your prayer. So we really appreciate you lifting up this ministry in prayer. So thank you so much for that. And some ministry has been going on as well ever since this whole corona situation brought us to where we are. We're still helping people that I need. If people call here for some help, we're still doing it. And we're still touching people in different ways. And I'll take this opportunity as well to keep remembering. We have people, the sick and shut in. You can refer to your bulletin that's sent to you every week on a Thursday. Look in there, and then you see a list of people that we have that need for you to pray for them. So ministry has been going on. It's just a different time where we have to do ministry differently. Things have gone virtual. So it's time for us to just kind of take advantage of that and do the best we can and allow for God to help us to do the best we can in that kind of situation. So keep doing ministry the way you can do it. And then right about here, I was talking about PPE in the beginning and the COVID-19 situation. There are things that we're doing in this facility every week. We are sanitizing this whole property. We have someone who comes in, sanitizing, cleaning up, and making sure that this building here is safe. So by the time that we start talking about coming back here, right, this building is ready. So we have some things that we have lined up to make sure that whenever we come back, at the time when God will set, everything is going to be ready here for you to come and worship and for everything to be so safe for your family here so we can lift God together from this place once again together. And then lastly, I want to talk about the biggest question that you have in your minds right now. When are we going to reopen? That's the biggest question that many of you have at the moment. Pastor Freddie has been praying a lot. He has been praying a lot to kind of hear from God about how we can handle this situation. And I'm really thankful for the kind of leader that he is, that he's really being sensitive to the Spirit on how we can reopen this ministry. And big in his mind at the moment, big in his mind is your safety. And if you talk to him right now, he will tell you that I want you to be safe. So safety is a big component, is a big determinant, is a big factor in deciding when we're going to reopen here. And tied into that, we have to hear from the Lord on how that's going to happen, right? So as of now, all we have to do is just kind of keep worshiping God the way that you've been doing, keep fellowshipping as God is kind of downloading to us as the leadership here on the best strategy on reopening. So we're keeping an ear to our governor as he gives updates every week to kind of see how his opening strategy is going and to see how we can have our own strategy that fits into that, but one that's to a bigger picture that provides some safety, some comfort, and some confidence, so that by the time we do it right. So we don't have a situation whereby when people come back here and then we have some cases springing from here. So we want to assure you that our pastor and the rest of the leadership and the elders, we are thinking about this every single day, and we're praying about it every single day to see how best we can do it, so that once everything opens up, we come back to the things that we have always done. But things may not be the same when we come back, but either way, we're preparing to make sure that it's the best experience that you can have when you come over here. So on behalf of Pastor Freddie, Pastor Marsha, once again, thank you so much for everything that you have done, and keep praying and just keep doing, what you've always done and being good ambassadors for this ministry wherever you are. We know you're doing it at work. You're being good ambassadors of this ministry wherever you're, and standing in and talking about the work that has been happening here through this stream. And before I leave here, let me just give a shout out to people that have been so hardworking in this whole process. Firstly, our media team that has been awesome. Chip, Zoe, Steve, these guys have been awesome. you should see how much they put in and how much they run around to make sure that we have a stream that's coming to you of high quality, a stream that's coming to you that's nicely comparable to what's happening around. So these guys have worked hard. They put in so many hours, in making sure that our stream is of the highest quality. The band has been awesome as well. You've seen them. I mean, they've come here. They've risked their lives to drive here and come here and make sure that we have a nice, great worship experience every Sunday. So a big shout out to the band. Thank you so much for what you've done. And then you've seen ladies here. You've seen our choir, our singers. Wow, they have been great as well. They've come here every week singing and then making sure that we have a great worship experience. So we thank them as well. And then the staff behind the scenes, the guys that we have, John Jackson, Michelle, Jackie, and everybody else that we have, Ileana for cleaning up. We thank them as well for the work that they've done. The elders for keeping us in a place of being led properly. I mean, they've done a good job with that as well. And then last but not least, our pastor, who has been faithful every week studying and making sure that we have the best of a word here every Sunday. So we thank him too, Pastor Marsha, for supporting and standing beside him. So thank you so much, and may God bless you. And please remember that this Sunday when we come back together on the stream, remember to share our link so we can have as many people come here and be blessed through the teaching that Pastor is giving from here. Shalom, shalom.